There it is. Here we are, guys. Week 82. Once again, in y'all's wonderful homes that y'all have invited us in. Once again, the Becker family team here to enjoy some beautiful wines with y'all. So tonight we have a wonderful panel and wonderful wines to enjoy once again. And we've got some new releases. So a couple new releases and a double gold that we just won. So we can talk about those here in a little bit. But before we go on to the wines with the beautiful faces tonight, we have Nicole Bendelay, so marketing director, and we have Rachel Fanning, assistant wine club director. Assistant winemaker. Winemaker, not wine. That'd be me. Yeah, right. I know. I mean, she's sitting here. So assistant winemaker and enologist. And then we have Kaylin Hall, does everything and amazing stuff. Yeah, Monster Back. I don't know if we've ever mentioned that on this.
On the live.
Does all the cool stuff behind scenes and in front as well. So amazing, wonderful lady here. And then myself, Bobby Totten, the wine club director, and with some great wines to share with y'all tonight. So we have a couple new releases. So first of all, the 2020 Estate Sauvignon Blanc, which is just tasting gorgeous, just a beautiful wine. Then we're going to go to the 2018 GSM, which is a new double gold winner for the San Antonio Livestock Show and Rodeo. And then the new release of the 2019 Reserve Malbec. So really excited to share this with y'all tonight. And so Nicole, I'd like to just hear what you would love to say. Don't want to put you on the spot, but just love to hear what's going on in your world and the new things that we have with Becker Vineyards and all the fun stuff.
Hello, everybody. I guess one of the things about the Sauvignon Blanc that kind of stands out for me, it has a lot of like fresh cut grass. And then there's also some honeydew melons that seem to stand out for me. And then I think as far as flavor, I pick up a lot of like a crisp green apple, almost like a Granny Smith. And I remember when Becker Vineyards first opened to the public, the Sauvignon Blanc was one of the first wines that we had available. We also had a Fumé Blanc, which was a Sauvignon Blanc aged in oak, which now is our white wing, and we've spent more time in it. And then we had an off-dry wine in the lineup when we first opened, because we just need some more time to wait for the reds to age in barrels. So it's fun to taste this one and bring back some really great memories. But I like the crispness and the bright acidity on this. This is wonderful.
Nicole, that was actually going to be my question to you. Was so we're all super familiar with our white wing, right? That was a lot. But in my time here, we've never produced just the Estate Sauvignon Blanc, bottled as is. And I was going to ask you, in your tenure, when was the last time you saw us do just a Sauvignon Blanc that was off of our estate?
I think it was a short amount of time. I think we only did maybe three vintages of it, and then wanted to focus more on Sauvignon Blanc aged in oak, which kind of tames that grassy characteristic. And I remember like first opening up the barrel of the Sauvignon Blanc in the oak, and it just had this beautiful kind of like baking spice kind of aromatic to it, even though it doesn't quite taste that way. It was just a beautiful wine. But to answer your question, I think it was only about 3, maybe 4 vintages of the Sauvignon Blanc, and then just focusing on what's been aged in oak.
Yeah. Awesome. So Kaylin, what do you think about this wine? What are you getting? Oh, you.
Sorry about that, guys. So the Sauvignon Blanc is really lovely. I'm picking up so many different floral aromatics on the nose initially. It is so delicate, so lovely. And I'm a big fan of our white wing. And I feel like this, it tends to lead onto the lighter side. It's a little bit softer. For me, the white wing tends to carry like more tropical fruit components. This one, for me, I'm picking up the Granny Smith apples, maybe some Meyer lemon, but the really soft florals, I think, and are taking precedence on the nose for me. And mine is not really cold for one of the first times ever. I forgot to put it into the refrigerator until later this afternoon. And so it's actually at a temperature where I'm able to pick up lots of different white flowers, maybe some peach blossom, things like that. But it's so delicate. We'd had a lot of discussion before we went live, and I don't want to steal any of Bobby's words, so I'm going to relay it back to you, Bobby. I don't want to take your words.
It's all good. No, I mean, we share that. We are collectively sharing the words of these wines, and it's fun to kind of not pick apart, but like kind of, dissect it in, little terms of like, I'm picking up subtle hints of this or that. I mean, I was getting almost like that honeycomb characteristic, that almost beeswax. I'm known for really enjoying gummy bears. So like the Haribo gummy bears that they usually use like beeswax in there. So I mean, to kind of pick up that subtle hint of, the fruit characteristic with that beeswax characteristic kind of showcase together, it's fun. This is making me a lover of this wine. So
Absolutely.
What do you think?
I concur wholeheartedly.
Yeah.
Whenever you first opened it and poured it in the glass, and those first notes that I got were of like lime zest and like a kind of a, not quite pithiness, but definitely that zest of the citrus fruit. And now that it's opened up, oh, sorry, but I did get that beeswax honeycomb. Yes.
Yeah.
And now that it's opened up, it's those pretty flowers that you were saying. And I'm thinking like white lilac. I don't know. I'm terrible with my florals. I really just need to go hang out in a flower shop and just smell and irritate the people who work there saying, what is this? What is this? What are you saying?
I feel like that sounds like a really good field trip.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Going to the nurseries.
But I do love, like, I just agree so much with what you're saying. To me, it's so much, a little bit lighter, has a little bit of those oak notes to it, but they're not dominating whatsoever. They're just subtle in the background. It creates a little bit of a viscosity, a little mouthfeel. So this one did not go through malolactic fermentation.
Okay.
2020, there was not a lot of malic to start with. Like we're typically under 2 grams whenever we start. I think this one's still, where are we here? We got all the information, 1.5, 1.6 grams. So, I mean, really just the malic that we would lose during fermentation. So all of that, those nice green notes from the inherent malic are still sitting in there. And I love that. I love how delicate and light. And okay, so Kaylin, you mentioned that yours is warmer.
Yes.
Normal. How do you prefer it?
So it depends on the purpose of my glass. If it was the end of the day lavender festival, and I had been trekking around the entire establishment and it was hot out, I would go for the coldest glass of Sauvignon Blanc I could find. But for these types of tastings, and even for like the private virtual tastings I try to not let my wine get so cold that I can't smell anything. And so this, if I was just to be hanging out in my house that's temperature controlled and comfortable and not trekking around the 15 buildings at the winery, this is exactly how I'd want to enjoy it. I feel like right now, some triple cream Saint Andre Brie would be it. Like I could just eat a hunk of cheese, and I have done so. But with this wine, I think it'd be fantastic. Couldn't go wrong.
Nicole, how would you like to enjoy Sauvignon Blanc?
I was thinking while I was tasting this that earlier this week I had gone by Jimmy's Asian garden and had the Kung Pao, and Kung Pao shrimp, and even if you did a mix with the chicken, I think would be great with that. I think the acidity, the crispness of the wine would work with that. But also, even if you were doing like a sushi, like a dragon roll or salmon roll, California roll, I think those would all be really delicious too. But I think that's kind of something that just kind of popped in my head, is always tasting it. And then being that Halloween is coming up, maybe Sour Patch Kids. Those, I think, and because it has those kind of, like Rachel was saying, it's got that lemon zest to it, where you get a little pith, kind of like the Sour Patch.
No candy corn?
Candy corn probably work.
I don't know about y'all, but I love candy corn.
Too. And I feel like it's a loved or hated candy for
Yeah.
people. It's there's no middle ground on that.
Yeah. No, it's
Nicole
gotta
and
be
I were
delicious.
talking Nicole and I today were talking Halloween candy pairings for all of these. And so I was gonna go with gummy bears. And so I feel like you mentioning the gummy bears, I was like, ooh. And that's something that I'm happy I don't keep candy in my house, and I haven't purchased any Halloween candy yet because I would eat all of it. But I'm trying to figure out who I can convince to just like do just a care package drop off.
Mhm.
You want somebody to just bring you some candy?
Yep, reverse trick or
You have to
treat.
dress up and you have to go trick.
Reverse trick or treat.
Yeah, exactly. We're gonna come to your house and give you candy.
Yes, I love it.
You just take it from the kids.
That's right.
There's your
yeah.
trick.
Well, that's usually what I do. No kidding.
And they'll just be like, "That's the weirdest thing that's ever happened to me."
Taking candy from babies.
Hey,
Shock factor
it's
is
memory.
always effective.
Great memory.
Oh my goodness. So what would you pair with this?
I am right up there in Nicole's boat, where I was thinking Thai food, like a tom kha.
Oh, yes.
It'd be so delicious.
Yeah, I was thinking pad thai myself. It's almost it reminds me of a little bit of that lime that you kind of squeeze
Little
over the
lemongrass
noodles,
and-
yeah, the lemongrass. Oh, yeah. Yeah, this is a nice wine.
Did good, Rachel.
You did
Hey, thanks,
great.
guys.
So new oak, we did.
What do we do here? We have 60% new French oak, which typically we do bring in new French oak for our white programs. Like we're very specific about our Viogniers and our Sauvignon Blanc and our Chardonnays that predominantly are French oak barrels. Yeah, so 60% is, I feel like, probably not unusual at all. But the remaining 25%, there's a little bit of neutral oak in there, but 25% of it was stainless steel fermentation, and we, aged that, and I think that really accentuates and heightens that crispness that we're getting.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
So
Nice.
how long did this sit in oak? Because it is so remarkably light. And obviously as a 2020 vintage, I'm like, it must have been a shorter duration.
I would say, I bet it was no more than 10 months. No more than.
Lovely.
Yeah, sorry, I don't have an exact one on that.
That's
but I would
okay.
say 8 to 10 months, very little.
I'll
Yeah.
forgive you. So do you know the thought process behind deciding to not turn this into white wing, or how we decided to do this? Tell me.
Well, we're gonna close this door here, and you folks out in Facebook land.
Right.
It's a big secret. Nobody knows. I don't know. I really don't know. I really don't. Yeah,
Other than it was so darn good, it had to just be by itself.
just needed it now, right now.
That's also fair.
Right. It's fun. It's one of the things that we talk about a lot is we are definitely a red wine house and a Bordeaux house. And sometimes you feel like we don't have enough white wines. I think that this is a nice addition, especially when some of our whites, we have our nice crisp Viogniers, and we have our heavier bodied Roussins and Chardonnays. So, another crisper white balance out the the tasting, give some options to still
love
keep it in our Bordeaux house.
Yeah. Yeah.
I didn't hear what she said because
This is the
Oh,
Bordeaux.
the
Yeah.
Bordeaux, yeah, right.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Because that's all what we're known for here is our Bordeaux's, our Rhones, our Bordeaux's. So keep it in our wheelhouse.
Right.
Any other thoughts about this beautiful Sauvignon Blanc?
Yeah, I will say one more thing. I'm always super, super impressed by our vineyard. Nicole, you brought up earlier that this was the Sauvignon Blanc was some of our earliest plantings. We planted this Sauvignon Blanc in '93, and it is still the vast majority of the Sauvignon Blanc that you see as you drive in. And this blend is 80% of that original 1993 planting. And I'm just always so impressed with how well that is still producing, still holding up. And I mean, those vines are big and they're gnarly and they're just like, and trying to lay down. We're tired, but they produce such beautiful wine.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think that's one of the things that people bring up to us as they come in. They're like, how old are those vines? Because the trunks are huge, just massive. And for them to produce this quality wine is just, it's outstanding. Yeah.
Yep.
Right from here.
Well, and I always enjoy whenever I'm trying to describe to somebody where the Sauvignon Blanc comes from. I'm like, oh, when you were on Yansky and you drove past those really huge, I say gnarly as well, vines. They're like, oh yeah, and it is specific and recognizable.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. Shall we mosey to the GSM?
We may as well.
I know, right? When you get those wines and you're like, I don't even want to drink it yet. I just want to cuddle with it and just hold it. And
I mean, I originally picked it up and smelled it without swirling it, and then I swirled it, and it was just like even more, just hit me in my face. Yeah.
quick, first two words.
Yeah.
Caramel. Caramel's first word.
Mine is mint. I pick up mint and thyme as far as the aromatics that jump out at me on this.
I don't know. I'm going back to fruit leather.
I like fruit. Yeah, absolutely. I'm like,
I mean,
Like raspberry, strawberry, fruit leather.
yeah, right.
yes. Oh,
It smells so good.
Better than those like fruit roll-up things that were so god awful.
it's the all natural
Grown-up version,
oh
right?
done in your dehydrator at the house. Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty. And also like definitely like a cinnamon note on the back.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Like almost kind of like a Red Hot, but not like a candy version of Red Hot. How do
Yeah.
you say that?
I've forgotten about red hots.
Cinnamon schnapps.
Cinnamon
It is
schnapps.
like cinnamon
Maybe
Yeah.
more like the Jolly Rancher kind, where it's not as sweet, maybe.
Mm.
Was that the
Less-
fire?
Yeah.
Less
Yeah.
It's stuck in your tooth and can't get it out.
And I think as far as like tasting it, I pick up a lot of tobacco notes. There is going to be some like dried raspberries or concentrated raspberries, some nice black pepper. But I would say more like on the almost like you're doing a fresh peppercorn, like you're not the full ground pepper, but something you just just fresh cracked. But there was a place I was at that did like a pink peppercorn vinaigrette, and it kind of reminds me a little bit of that, where as you're smelling it, you think it's going to be something on the sweeter side, but then you taste it and it's not, but it's got such a pop of flavor. And also there's a variety of flavor going on too, and it kind of reminds me of that.
My first thought was raspberry tea, and not like Snapple, but maybe a little bit like Snapple, like
Bigelow's.
I'm not familiar with that one.
Yeah, it's like the old Bigelow's, like Sleepy Time. They come in those different varietals. Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
I do
Or-
see Sleepy Time. We all know.
Yeah,
Like,
if everybody
Everyone's
knows-
like, yes, that one.
Yeah, it's the Bigelow's brand, but they also do like their Zinger and I don't know, but yeah, the steep. But yeah, yeah. Well, let's get a little clove on it too.
Right?
Absolutely. I'm picking up something that reminds me a bit of olives and green pepper.
Like a kind of a dark briny greenness.
Absolutely.
So I have to
It's
say,
also-
whenever we're finishing up the fermentations and we're pressing the red grapes, one of the things that we're always looking for, or there's like a progression as you're pressing the grapes and the everything evolving out of the wine, juicy wine. And things that we're always looking for, there's a point where it hits this like tea note. And just before you get to the really little bit more harsher tannins, whenever you're squeezing the seeds a little bit, just before it gets to that green tanninness, there's this tea note. And out of Mourvèdre and usually Mourvèdre and Grenache and maybe some So, to me, I get these huge raspberry tea notes. And this just, I mean, it was just a couple of weeks ago that we were pressing the Mourvèdre, and I'm like, that's it. That's the one. It's raspberry tea. You know?
Yeah.
So it's interesting that 2 years later, I still get that same note.
So I'm excited that Thanksgiving is coming up soon. I feel like this wine is the ultimate, in my opinion, Thanksgiving wine. I know our Prairie Roti has been one that we circle back to for food pairing purposes for Thanksgiving, but I think this would be killer. And I'm not going home for Thanksgiving. I'm making a mini version of Thanksgiving at my house, and I think this would be it. Well, this will be it. I'm gonna just line that out now. Got the wine pairing down. Don't have the food menu down yet, though.
We're gonna start with the wine and
Well,
build food.
you work you work the way you know best.
Right.
Yeah. It's like using wine with cooking, but you know, sometimes it goes in it, right? Or
A little bit of both.
But no, I think that actually, Kaylin, I think that brings up a great point. I mean, we always talk about the Prairie Roti, and it's this great Thanksgiving wine, but this has a lot of the same components that the Prairie Roti has always had. It's got Grenache and Mourvèdre and a Petit Syrah. Of course, Cinsault and Counoir are a little bit newer to our, you know, when you're on TV and you're like, what's going on over here on the side? I think it's Bobby's office. Maybe my hair. It's not, it's just my hair. But just some of these, all of those components that were always so good, those Rhone varietals, you know, like that were always part of the Prairie Roti. So I don't think it's any surprise that this one also carries over to that Thanksgiving tradition. I always think about a for real fresh cranberry chutney, like not out of the can that still has the rings, but I slap it up, you know, not that one, but like a Nicole. You know what I'm talking about.
Call me your heat.
the canned jelly. Yeah.
But like a for real homemade fresh cranberry chutney is, oh my gosh, so good. And this is like liquefied cranberry chutney in a glass.
How did y'all decide that? So there's the Prairie Roti program that most people are familiar with, but to come out with a GSM, like what made y'all make another Rhone Côte Roti kind of style wine?
Sure. You know, it's funny. I was actually in the car. We were all traveling somewhere, and Doc was on the phone, and we were talking about. Well, it starts with the label with the Prairie Roti, right? We love this label, and it's a story, and it's such a great speaking point about what's going on with this angry man who's pouting on the front of this label. He's not an angry man pouting in front of this label, you know. So it's we hold this dear, right? I know all of us do, and we talk about this story all the time. So I don't know how well that label would transfer out onto a shelf, you know, when you're walking through HEB. So that's I feel like that's the real story. You know, we know that the Rhone varieties are doing so great in Texas, and there is really something that we're all producing across the state so very well. Definitely need to get our Rhone blends out in what we're calling our great state of Texas lines. So in order to send this out to all of our friends across the great state, we needed to find the blend and the label and the packaging to be able to get it to you. That's a pretty real story. There's no like fanfare and like beauty and romance about it. And it's real.
I think it's a wonderful wine. It also kind of reminds me of being in southern France, and I realize it is a southern Rhone style wine, but it just kind of also reminds me of, traveling through southern France. And I guess, for lack of better words, it reminds me of like countryside in a glass. Like you're drinking in all the places that you went to, and then of course can have it with food and definitely with all your friends and family too.
Some of them.
If we're going to be real and we're going to be honest here with our real.
If I'm in southern France and I'm traveling, it's not all of them.
Yeah. Except our Facebook family and friends. So.
So on this GSM, who are we getting the fruit from? What is the makeup?
Fabulous question. So we're going to get, this is almost nearly 80% farmhouse.
Wow.
So farmhouse supplied the Mourvedre, Counoise, and so currently Counoise, the only place we're getting Counoise is from Mourvedre. What else? We have some Talent Barbera in here.
Don't you also have some Becker and some Leahy in this as well?
There's definitely some of the Leahy Grenache and sorry, it's Leahy. We have a Leahy.
We have a lady.
We purchased grapes from Leahy.
I apologize.
And a little bit of our Estate Petit Syrah, which I personally love our Estate Petit Syrah. And while this is a minor player in this whole blend, I cannot say enough about how great our Petit Syrah is, and what a great grape I think that is for the Texas Hill Country.
Right.
Like we're doing such a great job with it. Drew Talent, we buy quite a bit of fruit from him, and his Petit Syrah is just absolutely beautiful. So whenever you see our Petit Syrah, segue, plug, buy it.
True. Yeah. No, I think this wine, just the characteristics, just a lot of layers to it, and I mean, yeah, it's definitely countryside in a glass. It's gorgeous. Definitely Thanksgiving. I mean, and then the label. I mean, it's first time we've ever seen anything like with this label. We haven't released this before, so it's just gorgeous. So you ever see this in distribution,
Pick it up.
pick it up. Yeah.
Oh, that's the point to those that are watching. It's not available at the winery or in our tasting rooms, but out in the stores near you.
Yeah. Yeah. So we'd love to have it here, but
We really want you to have it there.
exactly. A little bit more convenient.
I guess a countryside in a glass is a much more lovely, preferable descriptor than chutney in a glass, huh?
Well, no, like
That's
when
so
you,
much prettier.
They're both beautiful.
No, chutney's
they
not as
are.
pretty. Chutney's a weird word.
and sometimes with the chutney, and I was thinking about it when you brought it up, that sometimes they get like kind of like pecans in there
No,
also,
Mhm.
and I'm almost getting like a nuttiness out of it as
Right?
well, like almost like a kind of a pecan nuttiness
Right.
characteristic out of it. What was that, Nicole?
As it's kind of opening up a whole lot more. That's right. That's right. Kind of fun to taste it in the different stages. Like when you just poured the glass, let it wait a few minutes, taste it. And then now that we've been sitting here a few more minutes, you're right. It's opening up really beautifully.
that's one of my favorite things to do. Just acknowledge as it evolves in the glass and opens up and shines.
Mm-hmm.
But I agree with what you were saying about that complexity and all those layers. You still have all that brightness, that great bright red fruit, like those raspberries and bright strawberries, and I do get that kind of a briny, not a green olive, but like a black olive.
Mm-hmm. And I'm thinking about something sagey, rosemary-y in those realms. I'm going to do this to
Herb de Provence, if we all do this.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. You just
Like
I think Nicole's
it's me sprinkling.
What did you? You're
The-
pointing at me? I'm
No,
like,
that back there. Pointing at that, but you got to point there. To the wheel. Or yeah.
Well, and I think that's why when I'm thinking of like what to
Cardboard.
what it's with, one of the first things that popped in my mind was Provençal chicken. It's a dish I like to, where you kind of do do a little saute on the pan, and then you finish it out by baking it. And it has like potatoes, it has rosemary in it, it has olives, but it's just a fun, simple dish from Provence. And I'll have to say, yeah, that wine made me. I know some people like to have white wines with chicken, but depending on what you're cooking with and what your ingredients are, you know, you can have some reds that will pair beautifully with that. And this one would go fantastic with a Provençal chicken.
I agree with that statement so much. And I think that's one of the fun things that we're learning with all of the Rhone varietals that we're doing so much, that all of these Rhones kind of, I don't want to say replace the whites with the white meat, but they definitely give us another option.
That's-
It's not just white wines with white meat. You have these lighter reds that pair so beautifully.
Mm.
See, and I was also thinking a chicken dish, but I was thinking like chicken tagine, you know, with mustard, lemon, and a little olive. I thought that would be nice. That was in my wheelhouse.
I think this is where we're going, like a dish
Yeah.
for wine, because this is just.
We need to do
I'm gonna fail you on this one. I was not thinking food at all. I think I can just drink this one by myself. But
Rebecca did request that we do Halloween pairings or Halloween, let's see, Halloween treats.
Kit Kat bar.
Ooh. I almost want to put a
on
payday
that one.
with
You
it,
just
which I know payday sounds crazy.
Huh.
What would you pair? What would be your Halloween candy with this one?
Candy corn.
Can't go wrong across the board.
And we're talking about the original candy corn, not the one with the chocolate
Oh,
bottom. It's just
There's that now.
there is.
Oh, I didn't know.
There is. There's
I'm
the
hurt by
chocolate.
that.
Yeah.
I don't like that.
To the haters, and you cannot,
No.
right? Like, stick in your niche. We're good with this.
True.
Ooh, what about the little and normally I would hate these, but the little cherry covered chocolates.
Oh, right. That'd be delicious.
Cordials.
Yes.
Uh,
I would eat one of those with this.
So if we're doing Halloween
Mm.
pairings, I'm thinking mounds for the
Oh,
Sauv Blanc for the
Yeah,
Okay.
for the 2020 Sauv Blanc.
makes you want to start singing the song too.
It's
Does it,
in my-
Nicole? I would love to hear this.
All my
think
boys got nuts.
Words of it, you know, Mound's got chocolate and then I can't remember the rest.
Yeah. Sometimes you feel like a nut, sometimes you don't.
Nope.
I'm trying to think. I really don't know. I'm pretty kind of straight and narrow on my candy eating. Like I don't branch out a lot.
I don't know.
Yeah, mine don't go with this. Snickers?
Yeah.
No.
This
Right.
reminds me of those juju fruits.
Yes, agreed. Also, that could. See, I want to go crazy on a limb and say a payday would be excellent with this, with the
Okay.
caramel and the nuttiness would be really fun, and it would branch away from my chocolate go-tos, and it would be different than all my sour candy obsessions. So, a fun thing that happened in my childhood is I got to spend the vast majority of my summers at my family business, which one of them was in one building, but one of the businesses was a vending machine business. I'm well versed in every candy that's ever come about. I could blind taste a soda or a candy. So if anybody wants to test me on that, probably not my house. I won't announce it on the internet, but y'all know where I work. If you want to drop a care package, we could do blind tasting. I would love that.
Challenge accepted.
Yes, all candies.
That's where the sommelier comes in.
Right. Yes.
This one's gonna
So
stop.
it's
I'm gonna come back next week and go, all right, I got it. Got the candy for the GSM. I won't. I'm sorry, I'll forget.
I also feel like a good Rice Krispie treat with like Reese's Pieces would be delicious too.
Baby Ruth.
Oh, I like it.
Ruth.
I like it a lot. It's
I'm
so
straight and narrow. I don't branch from the candies. I know what I like and I stick there.
Candy corn.
I know. I love candy corn.
so Susan Hanks says that she's gonna have to open her bag of candy corns after all of the discussion about it tonight.
You're welcome.
And I'm happy for you, Susan.
Yes, I'm so excited for you too. I'm glad you have a bag of candy corn.
I know. Let us know how it is with
It
the
was
wine.
great to see her this weekend at the Fredericksburg Food and Wine Festival dinner.
Yes.
That
And
was-
she was there
So
Saturday
good.
too. She was at the Saturday portion of the festival as well.
That's cool.
Hi, Susan.
She can't say hi. She's now shoveling.
Oh yeah, the candy corn is it's just awesome. Any other words about our beautiful GSM?
I love it.
It's hard to transition from this.
I know. I don't want to put it down, but I also didn't want to put down the Sauvignon Blanc. So here we are.
All right, we're ready. We got the 19 Reserve Malbec.
I haven't swirled mine. And initially I thought plum sauce.
Great descriptor.
That is.
I definitely get more of the eucalyptus mint right off the bat on the nose.
See, I'm in a different glass than y'all have got. I went big.
Straw glass.
This is my Cab Merlot glass, which I know is kind of a no-no, but I thought Bordeaux glass should be fine with Bordeaux varietal in my brain. And I feel like I've smelled the wine out of the Becker wine glasses, and I do pick up more herbaceousness, certainly. Out of the big glass, I'm getting a lot more rich components, which I'm very excited for.
So looking at the blend, and not to be all geeky, but I think that's I think it was a great segue about why does it seem so rich? Well, these are much larger components, right? The grapes in here. We've got Malbec. It's 83% Malbec, 7% Tannat, little Petit Syrah and Petit Verdot. All of this 100% is off of Drew Talon's Vineyard in Mason County. Which again, I just always love pointing out. I feel like we had such a stigma for so long that you can't grow grapes in the hill country, right? We're too humid. There's too much pest and disease problems. There's just a lot of factors that are always hitting us in the face. And I just disagree. Like, I think we're just doing such a great job. Not just Drew, not just ours, but up and down the 290 corridor here. I think that people are growing great grapes. And then we launch into the Bordeaux varietals, because we've always said that Texas cannot grow Bordeaux's, and you're wrong. Those people they're not in my circle.
I think also people, either some people don't know, or some people also forget that you do have different clones for different zones, so like Bordeaux grapes that we grow here would be different than what's in New York State, in the Finger Lakes, and I think people forget, or like I said, don't know that there's actually different zones and different clones for those that are going to work best in those areas as well.
Absolutely.
Love it. That's going to be on a t-shirt next. Different clones for different zones. Boom. There it is.
I love that.
I'm going to write it down, making notes.
It's it.
Yes. I'm like, I feel like there's some sort of a viticultural event coming up soon. It could be a really good slogan.
I don't know if that was a plug. Did you see that on the screen? Right
Yeah,
in the
no, it
eyeball?
got on my nose. I was like
We've
right
got a
there.
buddy hanging out with us over here.
That's always a good time.
So was that a plug that you were doing?
No, I was just saying the words out loud.
Okay.
Marketing geniuses
Just thinking. Just thinking.
strategizing and
Just thinking out loud.
so Nicole.
Yes, Bobby.
What do you think about the Malbec?
Let's see. I think think as far as the aromatics, some of the things I pick up first are there's going to be, I know this is going to be a weird description, but a little bit of tar, a little bit of petrol. Kind of reminds me of like being in Europe and you're going to the train station and the diesel engine, pulls up and you get a little bit of that kind of a petrol characteristic. But there's also some red plum notes. Some people might say stewed plums. There's definitely like a red fruit characteristic to it. But then as far as on the palate, so like in wine tastings, sometimes what you smell and what you taste are the same. And sometimes what you smell and taste are completely different. And that's fine. That's fine. It's just kind of fun to describe them. And then I've also had people go like, where do you come up with these descriptions? But really a big part of it is if there's somebody, who hasn't had a certain wine, you're actually describing it to another person. So that's where this tradition of how you get these wine descriptors come from, is you're describing it to someone who hasn't had it. But some also on the palate, tasting it, I pick up a little slate. It's a little bit of a mineral characteristic of a slate. But I also think I taste a little bit of red fruit as well. And also a little bit of like black olives, but I would say the black olives part is going to be more subtle. Like it's going to be way towards the back on that one.
Much more of an underlying character. And the tannins on this, they're like grippy and subtle at the same time. I feel like.
That's right. It has an interesting.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to speak over you.
No, I agree with that. It has because it grabs your attention immediately, and then it just kind of subtly pulls back a little bit. A very delicious, and it's always fun to have wines that have a lot of characteristics to them. Kind of like people, more interesting and more fun to be around.
Right.
Yeah.
The more you hang out with them, the warmer they get, the more complex they are.
Yeah.
Not either.
More wine they have.
Warmer as a person, not warmer in like. You smell funny.
No, we-
Not like that. Not like that. Sorry.
Yeah. Sometimes. No, yeah, I'm completely agree. I did get a little bit of that petrol on the nose. It's and almost like a dusty characteristic, almost like an earthy, like kind of dust, old world kind of characteristic. But it's cool. I mean, it's fun.
I was because I think it's on that same page as the petrol, but I was thinking like a creosote, like Texas hot summer day, and for whatever reason you're standing out on a corner. Shouldn't be because it's hot. It's Texas, but that hot creosote that's on the telephone poles.
Mm-hmm.
That, to me, it's got that not burnt, but just that hot tar kind of.
We've got some new telephone poles that are actually going alongside our property towards the north, and they dumped off 4 truckloads, and it's interesting. You get out to open the gate, and that's the first thing that hits you. And what's also interesting is there is a real bush called a creosote bush where you get that from. It's natural, but it's a very strong aroma, and I guess you can also say a preservation for the poles. But no, that's a good point. It does have kind of a creosote kind of characteristic to it.
Kaylin, what you think?
Well, so all of the lovely words that everyone said, but I am picking up something that lots of herbaceousness, certainly. The thyme that is mentioned, the mint that's been mentioned, but also perhaps some, I want to say purple flower. That's my safe zone. And I know that's it sounds silly, but sometimes I have a very hard time narrowing down specifically what I'm smelling. Like initially when it had not been swirled, I thought, oh, plum sauce. And sometimes I'm able to locate the scent in my mind of what I'm smelling or what I'm tasting. And sometimes it's a vague spot of brown spice for sure, or purple flower, green dried herbs, and sometimes that's okay.
No, it's actually, we talk about this all the time, right? Sometimes I think in colors, you know, you think like
Yes.
red
Yeah.
or purple or like dark blue, and then you kind of start narrowing it down from there. We think of we always talk about warm baking spices. To me, that's brown. That's
Yeah.
brown.
Absolutely. And I've encountered a lot of people are like, how do you get to there? And I'm like, well, sometimes you don't always find the finishing spot. And sometimes it takes a lot of practice and a lot of time and smelling a bunch of weird stuff and figuring out like, oh, this is what saffron smells like. And for me, that's
That weird kid that's always smelling stuff all the time.
yes.
Yeah.
Well,
love it.
absolutely. And you know, Amarillo, you inherently taste a lot of dirt, and it's windy and dirty up there. And so like there are certain things that I'm able to trace back to childhood, and then there's certain things that are in my adult life I'm perpetually trying to learn what new things smell like or taste like so that I'm better at wine tasting or food
Absolutely.
tasting or what have you, pairings, etc. But yeah, purple flower, I'm going there, staying there, it's safe.
As we mentioned earlier in the broadcast, that you know, trip to the nursery, the flowers,
Absolutely.
all that stuff.
Gotta do
Yeah, it's a thing.
I'm going to request a day.
Yeah, it's a work day. I know a place over in Kerrville,
I know a few places in Kerrville with flowers.
right?
I do like the plants,
Yeah,
but I should be more well versed in flowers. I do more succulents and easy keep plants, things that don't flower because maintenance.
yeah.
But I need to go identify more. So when we're talking about blue flower, or not blue,
Well, yeah,
Who done
too.
that?
No,
no, purple.
Purple.
Purple flowers are easy. You got lilacs and you've got violets and
At least those two and maybe more.
maybe an iris or something, right? Like in the
Lavender.
so little. So don't mind me if you see me, you know, in your yard smelling your flowers, because you have better flowers and can keep things alive better than I can.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Nicole's got the flowers going on.
You
there.
are
I mean,
quite
just,
floral
I
over
mean,
there.
It's just beautiful.
Do zinnias have a smell?
A little bit. It's kind of subtle, but I think it's that kind of a green cut flower as opposed to like the actual flower itself isn't as aromatic, but I feel like I pick more of the green characteristic. Yeah.
Interesting. It's
So I
strange.
know this is on topic but off topic. Actually had this conversation just the other day about geraniums and specifically like
Oh.
geranium leaves. right?
Yes.
If you've ever smelled those? They're it's actually not the prettiest smell in the whole wide world. It's not. Why do we plant them all the time? It's not my favorite, but it's so specific and it comes up all the time in the wine world, like geranium, geraniol oil, fault, flaw, but it's definitely there. It happens all the time.
And
I
I've never,
realize I'm not like saying
Really?
anything definite. Yeah,
It's
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 actually a big
actually a
thing.
fault.
Uh-huh.
Really.
Yeah.
And like a certain like chemical compound
Mhm.
that's
Interesting.
like white wines or red wines.
It
or
can be
both?
in both, but I think it's predominantly more reds.
Okay.
Mhm.
predominant. And it's one I've never, I know what they smell like, but I never gave it much thought until I planted one pot of flowers near my front door. I've got 6 different pots of different varieties of flowers. And because it's kind of a 90-degree angle right there, it traps the smell or the air.
Ah,
So never would have really given a whole lot of thought other than like I said, I know what it smells like, but because of that angle, it traps it in there. And so when I walk out in the morning, I'm like, "Ooh, geranium,
hello.
little plant." But yeah, but Rachel is right. It has it's very distinct. It's very true.
I can keep going, but I feel like it's off topic and somebody should pay attention to the comments. And if somebody's going to stop.
No one has said full stop yet.
Oh, yeah.
No one's requested that yet.
Boxwoods.
Boxwoods.
Boxwoods. Like to me, they smell like cat pee.
Oh,
All the time. It has that like cat pee aroma to it. So it's always baffled me why we plant them in front of office buildings.
Like ammonia.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very much.
What's boxwoods and the Nancy Drew mystery stories. When I was a little kid, you always read about the boxwoods, and something was hidden in the boxwoods, and or the burglar
Don't go in
dropped
there. It smells like cat pee.
boxwood.
It's not, I can't, and now I'm so aware of them, and I'm so in tune to it. I'm like, ugh, it smells like cat pee everywhere I go. Why would somebody plant cat pee in front of an office building?
Yeah, it's to turn away those that really don't want to do business.
There you go.
Yeah,
But going full circle all the way back to our Sauvignon Blancs, when you talk about Sauvignon Blancs, often having that cat pee on a gooseberry bush.
That's right.
Turns out I actually do like cat pee on a gooseberry bush. In a glass.
in a glass.
In a glass.
Yeah,
You're right. Weird descriptor, but it's a legit one.
it's a thing.
Know your florals, kids.
There you
Very
go.
important.
So as Kaylin and I did the level one sommelier training a couple years ago, and they had mentioned that people would actually walk through grocery stores and different places and pick up things and smell things and go through. And I mean, you ever see us, walking through, it's just in picking up things and smelling things. That's what we're doing. I mean, it's because, the wine industry in Texas is growing, and you're going to see people smelling things and trying to get a little bit more in tune with their descriptors. So,
I think that's such a great point. People ask, like Kaylin was saying, people ask all the time, like, how did you learn how to do this? Like, you literally can go to your grocery store, like grab a box of Franzia, the Chablis or the Burgundy. It's pretty neutral and it's pretty consistent all the time. And drop peppercorn jelly in there. Drop a little tablespoon of raspberry versus strawberry. And I feel like that's kind of basic, and most of us can tell the difference. But if you're struggling, what a great opportunity. In some of the different ones, lychee, we talk about lychee all the time.
I still don't know. I'll be honest. I've never.
It's a little harder to find, but you can find canned lychee.
Yeah.
Is that an accurate representation of lychee?
It's the closest we're going to get.
pretty close.
Until
Okay.
Nicole and I, standing in Bamberg, Germany, is that where we were, Nicole? And we walked into this beautiful garden and all these little statuesque cherubs everywhere. And there's this aroma, and you're just like smacked in the face with this glorious perfume. Like, I don't know what it was. I'm like, oh my gosh, what is that? And she's like, oh. But it was the flower. It wasn't the fruit. It was a flower, wasn't it? Pretty.
That's right.
I think I'm right. I may be wrong. It was a long time ago. We drank a lot. I don't know. But I think that's what it was. It was so beautiful, so aromatic, so beautifully floral, and yeah, can't even describe it. If you can't get to Bamberg, go down to your grocery store, get a little can of lychee.
I think one of those is more achievable than the other.
Yeah.
$1.67.
I mean, rather than, yeah.
I suggest
Cuisine, you'll see lychee in Asian cuisine. So it might not be consistent in all places depending on where they can get their ingredients, but that's another place to look too.
There is an Asian market here in town, so I might go on a
Very
hunt.
place.
Yeah. So Halloween candy pairing.
I know that y'all didn't think, or maybe not like them, but well, I actually have a couple, or at least three. So I think Snickers would be great. I also thought about, there was a place, I think it was in Arles in southern France, and there was this would be adult candy on this one, but it was like kind of like a hazelnut dark chocolate that they had, and this one was molded in the shape of a cicada, which I think in France they call them cigale. It was really delicious. And then another thing that comes to mind is when you're in Nashville, they say that the Goo Goo Bar, candy bars as we know it, started with the Goo Goo Bar in Nashville, they say. And so I think the one with a little bit of the peanut butter in it would go well with it. But then I think also with some of our fall flavors, I think like a potato pumpkin soup uh, or even like manchego cheese, or and I know a lot of people don't realize that you were talking about it earlier, that Malbec is a Bordeaux varietal, and then immigrants took cuttings, to the New World. Sometimes there's people that think it's only from Argentina, and it actually came from France to Argentina. But also with steaks, it's still a great wine to have with steaks. And you can have medium bodied to full bodied Malbecs that are perfectly great for that. But those are some of the pairings that tasting this wine that makes me what makes me think of that.
I'm really impressed with y'all pulling out the candy bars on these wines. I really am. I'm not gonna lie, I'll eat a candy bar with anything. I'll drink wine with most things, like they're kind of indiscriminate in both usage. But I like the fact that you're pairing them with intention, not just gluttony. I'm on the gluttony side.
Kaylin, what you think?
I want one of the Hershey's like special dark with almonds with this.
Oh,
Yeah, that would be, I think it would be so good. But then there's also a part of me that wants to go like full gorgonzola sauce on fettuccine with like crispy pancetta, and that is also really delightful. I know.
Dinner.
Won't do it, but sounds
In
really
a
good.
care package. If somebody would like to drop this off in the care package, it would be lovely.
trick or a treat. You
And
never
like,
know.
I hate to go super, it's not bland, but I feel like it's, something we say all the time. And maybe it's a default kind of a pairing, but like a peppercorn tenderloin
Oh yeah, that would be delicious.
with some roasted fall vegetables,
Mm.
crispy broccoli trees.
I've been thinking
Roasted.
recently about, what was that?
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, you're good.
Even like with those fall vegetables, a little roasted garlic, maybe some roasted beets with that. Yeah.
I forget about beets all the time. I
I
hated them
love beets.
as kids. I was only one kid at one time, not per my mom. But yes, now as an adult, I'm like, yes, and I forget about them all the time. I think that's fabulous. That earthiness and that redness, the redness again.
Well,
Safe.
safe. Yeah. I've been having a hankering for popcorn balls.
There's a lot of popcorn discussion in the chat right now. By the
What?
way. I know.
That's insane.
Flavored.
Flavor
Well,
popcorn?
right now we're talking microwave popcorn with drizzled caramel. So I'm like, basically.
Caramel.
Oh. So I'm thinking of the marshmallow, like the goo, like cooking it all down like in a thing, and just like,
That sounds good.
yeah, I've been for like 2 weeks now. That's happening this weekend, Halloween.
Like, Mom, if you're out there and you're making popcorn balls for Halloween, you could send them to work.
I don't know the fluffy popcorn ball you speak of.
Yes.
If you don't bring them to work, we
Oh,
might not be friends.
Well,
like you have to like glove up to produce them so you don't end up with popcorn
Cooking
hands for the rest of your
butter.
life, or it's a thing. My mom makes them every year for
Oh, yeah.
Every
Every year.
year. That's why I asked her if she had an
All my
extra
friends
to just
do every
send a
year.
few to
I
the
have no
winery.
idea what you people talk about.
I'll put in a special order. I know a lady.
Thanks, Mom.
yeah. We'll do it. It's a thing. We'll do the thing.
Somebody help a girl out.
Yeah. Also in that whole realm of popcorn, I was also thinking 100 grand. I love 100 grands.
Yeah,
You talked about that, Nicole.
Oh, did y'all? Oh my gosh. That's cool. Super cool. And then raisinets.
Oh, yeah, that would work.
Raisinets.
I feel so left out of the candy talk. Like my mom's not watching. Tell her now, Mom, you didn't do me right.
Oh, where were you? Where were you?
I was
woman?
a Hershey chocolate, Snickers, or Three Musketeers, or candy corn. And the only reason I got candy corn is because none of my cousins, I have a large family, none of my cousins ate it. I have my grandmother's little candy dishes everywhere.
But not circus peanuts.
God,
No, those are terrible.
awful.
They are.
Awful. Right up there with Peeps because it's the same thing.
Oh,
Oh, different flavoring.
Oh, don't talk about Peeps.
I will only speak badly of them. I'm sorry.
No, I don't like them. That's why I don't want to hear about 'em.
Awful.
No.
Don't understand it.
No, me neither. I'm just not a Peeps kind of gal.
Different
Right there
kind of
with you.
mallow. That's not a right mallow.
That's not mallow.
No, that's not
Mm,
mallow. Not malolactic fermentation, that's for sure.
That's malo, like
Mallow.
in Espanol is malo.
That's muy mallow.
Muy malo. Okay.
Awesome. So, anything else with our Malbec or no?
I think we've talked about all of the best things in life.
All of it.
And some of the worst.
Yes.
And people can still come out and see our zinnia fields. They're still blooming. So if y'all are out and about our way, be sure to check out our zinnia field right behind the winery. I was going to film in the zinnia field, but it's a little windy today, so I figured you'd see me kind of, my hair would be going sideways and you probably couldn't hear me, but anyway, we've got some great color out there. If y'all haven't been out here to check out our zinnias.
That's such a good book. And I have to say, the zinnias are so beautiful. And during harvest, when things are hot, and it's getting rough, and maybe we're a little short-tempered and our words are getting a little curt, it is always so nice to walk out on the crush pad and see the zinnias back there. And I'm like, life's gonna be okay. It's very beautiful. It really is such the nice, pretty breath of fresh air that I think all of us need during harvest.
It causes a breathing moment in life. It just,
Pause.
Stop and smell the flowers.
there you
There you-
go.
Theme of tonight.
So this next week, right? 83. I mean, we're on 82 this week. Mind blown, insane. It'll be after Halloween. No more candy talk of pairings unless we have leftover candy.
I might just bring it back next week to confuse Dr. Becker. Make him go, what?
Yeah.
Why that?
Oh my gosh.
We'll have to ask how much he had with all his grandkids.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Maybe we should send them a care package just in case.
Popcorn balls.
Not if I don't get one.
Gotta get some. So next week, 83, we got
New releases.
new releases. They are completely new releases just for our Becker virtual family. So those of you that have been with us for this long or been just jumping on within the last couple of weeks, some really cool wines that we're showcasing. So we have the new 2019 Texas Reserve Cabernet Sauvignon, which that is a marketplace, a great state wine, as we've been mentioning tonight. We have the 2019 Barbera. My gosh, it's been since 2010 since we had one. And then the 2019 Zinfandel. So really excited about those, to share those with y'all, to come again, once again, in your homes and to enjoy them together with y'all. And, as we say every week, to good health and great wine together with family to enjoy. We'll see y'all next week and enjoy. Thanks again, guys.
Cheers.
Cheers, y'all.